Hello, Facebook land. Muses coming at you live. We are about to get into, let me just take a deep breath. We're about to get into a very important, also possibly highly charged topic today. And we're discussing discernment. And this, I can already feel, is going to go off in so many different directions because we have so many different tools for discernment. Chris, I would like to open the show today and just get like a brief, don't spend more than 30 seconds to a minute, just riff for a second, okay? And give me a little blurb, a little insight, a little channel from you on what it means as an individual to discern.
So I actually looked up the definition right before the show just to see what it said. It said the ability to judge wisely. That really resonates with me. It's not listening and believing. It's not hearing and reading and learning. It's the ability to judge wisely. And we're not doing it. It's so rare to judge individually, wisely. And I love that definition, the ability to judge wisely.
Thank you.
See, I didn't even need to riff.
No.
I think that was Google. Google can be very wise too sometimes.
Okay, so what's coming at me next is this. Let's frame it a little bit into our conversation for today, because what I really want to get into is the way we discern, the tools that we use to discern. How do we know? How do you know when you've discerned something? I don't even want to use the word like properly. There's not a right and wrong way. It's what decision have you, like, I immediately go into action. What are we doing? What is it that we're stepping into? When you've discerned something, you're making a choice.
Yeah.
Almost always. It's always unraveling through choices that we're living out. So when we're discerning something, making a decision, how do we know that we have discerned truth?
I love the tinkle test is how I always describe it. This is how I described it the first time to my niece. When something is truth for you, it makes your body feel like it's tingling.
Thank you for qualifying that.
Like the body is just, your blood flows a little bit faster. It feels like your pores open up a little bit. The tips of your fingers start to tingle. It feels like an electric current going through your body in such a pleasant way that is not, it's not mistakable. You know, once that's, you start looking for it. And I tell you that with everything, you know, do you want to buy this item? Well, really think about it. Feel it. What does your body say? Does your body tingle when you think about doing that?
Truth bump.
Or the opposite, does it kind of like lock in? You'll feel your body like really condense and lock in the muscles, lock in the bones. You curl in on yourself when something doesn't feel right for you. There's a wisdom of the body that if you tune into can help with discernment. And that's definitely how I've learned to do some of the bigger decisions in my life. And the biggest ones usually come down to huge life decisions, right? So at work, when I was working for Department of Defense and I was trying to decide, can I survive here? Just keep my head down and keep putting up with all the harassment, or should I leave a 15-year career? And I was just heartbroken back and forth. But when it came down to thinking about leaving, knowing I had no backup plan, it still felt right. I could feel my body would come alive with it. It was like, look, don't even worry about where you're going to land. You have to jump. And when I really just said, all right, let me feel into both options and visualize myself doing both things. Staying there was going to kill me. Jumping, I was going to survive. it was going to be what I needed to have. And that level of discernment was 100% life-changing. And I had to trust that it was right.
Well, you could feel it.
You could feel it. And when something is right and you're paying attention, you can feel it. So yeah, Leah here says the same thing. A sense of knowing, a tingling in the head. Absolutely. I feel, I pay more, for whatever reasons, I feel it more in the forearms, but we all feel it in different places.
I'd really love to, it's taken me straight to this quote from Leah and what you're saying, the truth bumps, the way that when you experience something, it doesn't even have to be here. When you experience anything in your life that is in resonance with you, with your highest good, it elevates you. It activates you. You can feel it.
Yeah.
And it just has me thinking like the beautiful way that we're made and our design. And it takes me immediately to life force and to our DNA and to even the chakra system.
Yeah. Yeah. So go ahead, break down why this is in your field right now. Go ahead, break it down.
The conversation that we were having before we came live today, just let me get it out. Crap.
Get 'em.
There's some really, okay, so we all know, right? It's not a mystery. This isn't news. This is not the news flash. That there is a ton of crap in front of us every single day that is not real, that is not right, that is not good, that is not truth. And it is designed to distract, manipulate, coerce, all of the things, right? This is not news. We know this about the world that we're currently living in. And those of us that are fueling the body and using the divine design to walk differently, to maintain a higher vibration, to be in alignment and in sync with our own intuition, we know that what you put in your body affects how you feel, what you do, and the systems that are associated with that. Mm-hmm. We consume life force. What happens? Our chakras, because our entire system comes alive. Our intuition comes online. We are source rods. Seriously. And there's a lot of information going around right now about the chakra system. So here's your news flash, if you haven't caught this one lately, is that as a spiritual being, as an energetic healer, it may not be in your best interest at this time to have a chakra system and that you should remove it. Now, there's so many things that I want to say right now. So many things. Now you're laughing.
Sorry.
I've seen this before.
Yeah,
this really, it does. It surfaces every few years. I've seen it before. I've read articles about it. I've heard people, reel and carry on. I'm seeing it bigger now and in ways that are disturbing and alarming because I have personally witnessed multiple beings receive this as new information and profess to others that it be done as they're having it done themselves. Mm-hmm. This could be anything. No surgery. Energetic surgery is the protocol. And I just take the chakra system and take this entire conversation and debate out of the picture. Take it away. Replace the word chakra with anything you could do to your body. Anything. And tell me how it makes sense that a person who is just learned about it and barely discerned for themselves over, a matter of days, even I don't care if it's weeks. What on earth makes it aligned to profess that others do the same when you've not embodied the work yourself? You haven't walked that walk. You haven't had that experience. in your own body to say, A, this is safe and a good idea. It could be anything.
Mm-hmm. This is definitely not the first spiritual whammy. Is really I like to look at these. If you remember, during Virtue, 5 years ago or so, when she came out and said tarot cards were the work of the devil,
right?
And it threw so many of her followers, and that's a responsibility that spiritual leaders have for sure, to put out information that is healthy and helpful for the people that are listening. However, her followers, everybody has to have their own discernment. Does what she's saying right now resonate with you? The same thing with the chakras or any of this other stuff, saying that you look at the basis of Scientology, which is that there are all these things attacking your body at all times, and you need to pay a certain amount to get those things removed in order to be healthy. And that's the only truth. How does that feel for you?
Right.
For some people, I guess it feels good. But you have to really judge wisely. We cannot afford to be followers anymore. We really can't. And there's a point in all spiritual seekers' paths when they start saying the information that I'm hearing and feeling is right is not what I'm seeing out there anymore.
Check the thermostat, for crying out loud.
One of us reaches that point. That's good. That's what's supposed to happen. We're supposed to get to a point where our truth is coming from inside. It's not external locus anymore. It's inside. It's coming from inside. I think the world, getting as nuts as it is really saying over and over, here's another chance. Here's another chance. Go inside. Find out what your truth is. Don't worry about what everybody else is saying. And the chakra thing, I actually did a bunch of research on the number 7, because throughout history, the number 7 is famous for the ascension of humanity. The fact that there are 7 chakras in the body is not an accident. It's there to help move the ascension of the physical body into the ethereal and to link the above and the below, just like in alchemy.
Right.
It is not an accident. It is not a new system, and it's certainly not parasitic. But truth.
What I have to say in that regard is that, like any other system of the body, it can be manipulated. Our subconscious mind can be manipulated. It is our discernment that calls us to action in ways that reject and rebuke that manipulation.
Yes.
We're energetic beings. We get to be the tuning fork when that's our choice.
Mm-hmm.
Not to yank everything out, because it can be manipulated. It's like, oh, I don't need my subconscious mind anymore. Here, you better take that too.
Yeah. Or destroying the ego. I talk about controlling it all the time.
The ego has such purpose, and we can't be human without it. It's like, let's rethink that just a little bit.
Nothing is accidental inside the human body, and certainly not in the etheric body. There's not a single thing in here that's an accident. No. Everything exists for a purpose. So why are we so quick to dismiss the makeup of that, the blueprint? Like, see that extra piece there? Let's get rid of that. We don't need that. We're cool.
You put it together and you got extras and you're like, meh.
Nobody needs that extra rib. We're good. You just take that right out.
Oh, bless your heart. They have a mind of their own some days. We're getting back to 100%. Thank you for asking, Nancy. Speaking of discernment, my decision to go scuba diving in Mexico turned out to be quite an adventure. And having ruptured an eardrum, I've been walking that walk and doing the physical in the body human thing, healing the membrane and getting my eardrum back in shape. I don't have full hearing back yet, but I hope to soon. It's crackling. I can hear it in there.
Huh. Even when you're talking about it, I keep seeing in my mind this, with your ears, this new opening, like a new level and opportunity to hear. You're going to be tuning into whole new frequencies at the end of this. It's like your little evolution.
Yeah. So much has come to me psychically through my body with everything that happened, all the result of choices that I made while in Mexico and before. And it's been, yeah, discerning that has been interesting. Getting to know my body and the truth of my body and what messages are coming to me through the things that I'm experiencing inside the human. It's been a fun ride.
And it is the time. I constantly feel like we are at the top of the hill with the roller coaster. And it's that like moment of anticipation when it goes like, tick, 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 tick. And we're right here. And we've been holding there for so long. I can feel it even when I'm talking about it.
Yeah.
Makes my heart start beating faster.
Yeah.
Each moment is an opportunity for us to use our spirituality, to use our discernment, to use whatever methods we've created for that, and say, is this ear pain because I fucked up? Or is it a transition to something?
Or is it both? A little medley?
Is this thing about the chakras, is this the next step of my spiritual evolution? Or is this where I have to deviate from somebody that I've followed before? Because at the end of the day, they are still human incarnated.
Yep.
They have 1,000 opportunities to go right or left. You don't have to follow that direction.
It's so big too when you think of it in those terms, and then you come back to the individuality that lies in discerning. As you were saying that, bringing attention to the person, right, that's giving information and whatever, how often are we in the crowd discerning otherwise and going, how do I express this? How do I make known my discernment so that people who can't discern or who are being misled, right?
Absolutely.
And the scale that's happening on when you look at the world right now,
massive.
Not just a little conversation in a spiritual community about some energetic surgery. We're talking grand scale, global, galactic. What does Nancy say?
So she's been watching a lot of The Deadliest Catch. So in my mind, it's about a boat on the ocean getting hit by big waves, and then it calms, and then damn. Yes, it does seem like it's global for sure, because there's so much happening at the same time. There's no calm anything right now. You're looking at the stuff in Haiti going on. You've got freaking volcanoes in Alaska. You just have massive shifts across the world. Yeah. But it's so individual. How do you respond to it? How do you handle the mask situation or the shots or anything else? Everything is so global, but yet it comes down to individual choice in a way that I have never seen in my lifetime. That is intentional. There is a divine purpose behind that. And I think it's asking you to have discernment, it's asking you to build your own judgment, your own wisdom. So you can take in all that information, you can let that wave crash against you. But at the end of the day, that wave doesn't define who you are. Only you can do that. So what are you going to choose?
Because it's back to you again.
It's just
every time.
So my husband and I have been watching the Afghan withdrawal a lot. And, both he and I were in the military. So the information and also just the heartbreaking situation that's going on over there is a constant chance for both of us to decide how are we going to handle what the media is saying about it
versus
the humanitarian issues that are going on, and versus the real life experience that we've had with the people of that country. And it's a constant struggle for me not to get sucked under that wave because it's so painful. I see the faces of the people that I've met. I feel the pain of them. But at the end of the day, I have to find my own truth through all of it and maintain a level of energy and connectivity that will allow me to stand up against the waves. And it's like that with everything, whatever is the biggest issue in people's lives, whether that's the diseases going around, family drama. It's not going to stop. It's just going to keep getting bigger until you stand like that freaking rock in the ocean and just let the waves crash around you.
Yeah.
I think that's what discernment allows you to do. You're no longer a victim. You're no longer being controlled by everything outside of you.
No, you're taking choice.
Yeah.
You're owning it, whatever it is.
It's just an incredible time for it on every level. Before we came on the show, we talked about discussing religion.
Yeah.
That's a matter of discernment as well. Where do you find truth? You know, even as a kid, religion just didn't resonate with me. I was raised Protestant, but I had experienced Catholicism, experienced Judaism. None of them felt truthful to me. Not that they were filled with lies.
No, but I see what you're saying, though. You've got this, and maybe this isn't where you were going. It'll be another sidebar conversation. But all of these figures, these beings who are so implemental spiritually on the planet, being held in high regard in religious factions. So it is kind of hard to separate sometimes.
Absolutely. How do you separate the person from the message?
Right.
And Catholicism is a wonderful example of how that can be really detrimental to people when you've had leaders that did not have correct discernment, or their messages were coming from a place of, personal grandeur, but others followed them. They followed them regardless of what the message was, because they thought that was the right answer. It's something that's ingrained in us. It's a part of culture. It's a part of community. It's a part of the school systems. It's definitely a part of religion. Be one of the pack. Follow, conform, behave, be a part of society.
Oh, we used to be so wild. When did this start?
When did it become effective? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But that has always been the message. Just shut up and color. That's a very popular military expression, shut up and color. At one point, we fought back against that. But now we're like, okay, give me my crayons. I'm good. I don't know. But if there's ever a time for us to say, no, I'm not going to believe what's being told.
Yeah.
This is it. This is a time for every single person to think for themselves. Every single one. I mean, you can listen to us and gain information from it, but don't believe what we say just because we say it. Certainly don't believe what the Pope says, or a Messiah, or anybody. It doesn't matter how big they are, how much you trust them and love them. If they say something that doesn't resonate with you, you have to stand up for yourself. You just don't have a choice. Otherwise, you're going to follow them blindly. Like with that stuff with Doreen Virtue, that some of her followers went right along with her. I can't even fathom how you find your way back when that whole situation was just nuts. It's like throwing blinders over the eye after having 30 years of some sort of awareness.
And that discernment again, though, it just begs the question, like, what was that process like?
I cannot fathom it. I can't. I think it. I see. Even as I say that, I'm hearing that that's wrong. I can't fathom it. I think it's fear.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's so easy right now for things like the chakras, getting rid of the chakras, to take a hold of people, because we're scared. There's so much information out there about fear, about death, takeovers, other countries, immigrants. Everything is so fearful. Our world is dying. See, even that doesn't resonate with me. So if you are fearful, you are more susceptible to believing what you're told.
Yeah.
It is hard to say in the face of all this, I am not afraid. But I think that's the basis of discernment. You cannot be afraid. And I swear to goodness, the TV thing, if I could shut down all of the news stations, even for a week, I think I could deprogram the world, because that stuff is bananas.
Oh, it's so toxic.
Bananas.
And so much insanity. If you really like, we don't have a TV here. I couldn't turn on the news and watch it if I wanted to. I have to find the clips that have been uploaded to like BitChute or wherever. Oh man, some of the stuff that circulates, you can't even believe how. Well, maybe you can believe how people eat it up and just.
I think fear feeds fear.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like fire needs oxygen to survive, right? Fear needs you to keep feeding it. So it adds on itself. Originally, like the virus is a wonderful example of this. When it first came around, they talked about a lot of the numbers with contagion, then they went to death, then they went to entire people dying, and like all retirement communities dying, boatloads of people dying, cruise ships stuck out in the harbor, got to shut down the borders. Vaccines are the way to go. Now the variant, it cannot survive unless it's fed constantly. Because if at any point you said, all right, let me take a step back, what resonates with me? Because I'm the only thing that I can control in my entire world. You know what? I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of the virus. Whatever comes next, I'm not afraid. It will be what it's meant to be.
The virus is separation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's the virus. The virus is fear and separation.
And it's playing on people. People are afraid, so they want answers, and they think that because someone is in a position of power, they're going to give them the right answers. But you have to feel that out for yourself. You might not even know the truth. You don't have to go and do 10,000 hours of research to become an expert. What does it feel like to you? When you're being told something, when you see a news article, what does that feel like?
You don't have to know that the FDA receives 45% of its budget from the pharmaceutical industry to know that something's wrong.
Yes.
You don't have to know that. You don't have to know the facts.
All right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's the same thing with all the other stuff that's going on with the economy.
Yeah.
With the political players. Great. They're feeding off of our fear because we're more likely to follow whatever they're saying. How does that feel? Well, it pisses me off quite a bit, quite frankly. But I'm not afraid.
Rooftops.
Oh my gosh. Like nuts. And my husband feeds off of it too, because he always brings me these little Fox News clips.
Tell him to stop watching Fox News and start watching stewpeters.com. Stewpeters.tv, sorry. Stewpeters.tv. Drop it for everybody. It's a great source if you're looking for news sources, media sources that, interview on the spot, ask questions.
Is that correct?
Yes. Stu Peters. Nope, not .com, .tv.
False. Everybody ignore.
Ignore.
.tv.
Yeah, he brings on a lot of really great people. And you can see that this is what I love. I love that he just came into my awareness. It's not a cultivated narrative. It is a wide, expansive exploration. And so you have the ability to soak in information from different people that come on, different doctors that are interviewed, whistleblowers, everybody, right? And discern for yourself what is really going on.
Yeah. That was a conversation we were having this morning too about whistleblowers.
Yeah.
And it's because the community is so frustrated with the misinformation. The intelligence community, the government has so much information at their fingertips. And when they put out one narrative that we all know is not true, they are feeling an obligation to come forward. And that's why we've had so many whistleblowers lately.
Come
and
on,
they're not,
Pfizer.
they're not doing well. A lot of them have been arrested or in prison.
Yeah.
But somebody is. We wouldn't need whistleblowers if everybody could use their own discernment,
Right.
because the news wouldn't have any power anymore. And I see Nancy saying that her mom watches Fox News too. Regardless of which one you watch, they all have an agenda that, quite frankly, has nothing to do with your good.
Yeah, all of the mainstream news channels are cultivated and scripted.
Yeah.
Anybody that at this point, anybody that doesn't realize that, I feel like we're talking about discernment, right? So at what point, I don't know. At what point is it like, come on, you can't, here, look.
Yeah.
How does a person discern that everything is hunky-dory in the world of science and medicine right now? And just forget about like global elite, like all of that stuff, right? Just we'll sweep all that away and just say science and medicine. Because we know it's a much bigger issue at play here. But how could you discern that everything right now is kosher when there's so many different storylines and people speaking out and, like you said, whistleblowers and all of this stuff going on? It's like anytime there's a huge eruption and all kinds of different sides are battling each other right now, it's like within society we're battling each other because you're lying and you hate grandmas and you know, whatever, breathe your own shiz. Like, what? I can't anymore. I'm sorry. I can't do it anymore. It's too much.
Yeah.
How do we though just accept the discernment of others that leads them in a way that is out of alignment with our own path? Because I don't know, there's a certain place where it's like you can say, well, okay, what is the truth? Is it your truth? Is it their truth? Is it collective truth? I get all that. Let me just take a deep breath.
I say take what feels good and healthy for you and leave the rest. Don't argue the rest. Don't try to change anybody else's opinion.
Yeah, I love Nancy said that. Just the facts, please.
I am 100% the same way. That's why I read like the newspaper article headlines. I won't even go into the articles. I'll just scan the headlines. And I'm like, okay, these 10 say this. These 5 say the opposite. So the truth is somewhere in between, probably 70% towards this one. So like it's totally a statistics game in my head. I'm like, well, it's in here somewhere. So that makes no sense. That makes no sense. This little piece I like. Yeah. That's how I do it. I'm like, this doesn't, that doesn't meet the tingle test. This little piece of information does. So the truth is probably more over here. And then don't become emotionally attached to it.
Right.
Either way, emotion is a great thing. It really is. Being empathetic was like the go-to thing for spirituality for the longest time. We all wanted to be more empathetic. And I get that. Emotional attachment to the 3D world is a trick. It is right on the cusp of, you're going to get angry. You're going to get scared. It's just so quick. That fine line between love and hate.
Yeah.
That's just real. Like, I'm emotionally attached to this being truth. Oh, now you're in a different pit, because you got to prove that you're true and everybody else is wrong. So you got to show them they're wrong. It's such Karen said it. It's a vicious cycle.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was feeling and like sorting through as I'm saying all that. It's like, how on earth do you know? You don't.
Yeah.
You don't.
You don't. You can't. And you got to be okay with it. Like, the whole world is fucking nuts. And this is a show to curse on of all the shows. So you've heard it a lot today. I usually try to censor myself a little bit more.
1 minute to the next. Mind and emotions can't process. Yeah.
Yeah. So discernment is, I think it's the wrong word. Discernment is on a spiritual level. It's not an intellectual discernment. Like I was joking with the statistics saying 75% of people are saying this. It is something much higher resonating than that. It is a spiritual discernment. I think if you discern with spirit, you do not become emotionally attached to what anybody else thinks about the subject.
Yeah, you can't.
And
You already have a knowing.
Yes.
When you have a knowing and have discerned, that's unattached. Unattached to opinions, outside opinions, influences.
This is 100% true, and also something we talk about all the time. The news, I think, so there's this wonderful analogy that I use all the time. It's the boiling frog. If you take a frog and you throw him in a pot of boiling water, he'll jump his little ass out. If you put him in a pot of cold water and slowly turn up the heat, he will die.
Yep.
Newspaper and the news industry and our government at one point was held accountable if they lied to us. It was illegal. You would get in trouble. You'd lose your jobs. Slowly over time, that has changed to the point where we still assume that they're not going to lie to us, that the government and everybody else has our best interest at heart.
Can't assume that.
Right. So we've let them slowly turn up the shenanigans to the point where the water's boiling. I mean, what do we do?
Hashtag Operation Paperclip. Sorry.
What is Operation Paperclip?
Oh, you don't know Operation Paperclip?
No.
That's where there are CIA agents actually working in the news media.
Oh. I think they'd be smarter if they were, quite frankly.
You think?
I think they'd be much more clever about it. But God knows it's definitely
like helping to guide the narrative, you know?
The fact that the narrative is so strong from show to show to show. If you watch any of the news organizations and watch like 3 of the shows back to back, totally different newscasters, they will say the exact same phrase or term. That's propaganda. It's a method of manipulation because the more you hear something, the more you feel that it's true. The fact that they use the exact same words should scare people.
Have you seen the YouTube clip?
Oh,
there's a couple of great montages where I'll have to come back to this thread because now I'm going to want to drop the YouTube link. You could probably find it. Just search mainstream news scripting on YouTube. And it'll play a montage for you where it fills the screen with little squares like the Brady Bunch, except there's like 100 of them. And they're all saying the same thing. It's ridiculous.
It's brilliant. The old thing in school was if you repeat something to your students 3 times, they're more likely to retain that information. They're doing it hundreds of times a day.
Yeah. And
it's all fear factor, all fear-based. We're talking about the pandemic. Oh my gosh, the variant is coming for your children. And they say it over and over to the point where it's building a recording inside of your body. It's physically resting inside of you. Unless, unless you turn on the news and hold that spiritual discernment. It's not a one-time choice. You're going to have to choose every single time you hear that phrase or are faced with fear. What am I going to do?
Find the link.
Find it. that stuff, and like I said, I don't watch the news, but my husband's he'll have it running on his computer all the time. And he's listening to it on his earbuds. So I'll look over and I'll see just the captions. And they're so brilliant with it. It's always saying, what does it say? Like Fox News Alert. That's what it is. Fox News Alert. But they have it every hour. And it's always saying the same damn thing. There's no new information. Not like Fox News Alert, this just happened. No, it's Fox News Alert, this thing happened again. It's brilliant because it's red, it's flashing, it's moving, it grabs your attention, and then there's the phrase.
But first,
okay. Are we going to share it?
I found it.
Do you want to play a little bit of it?
Yeah, I do.
All right, everybody stand by. This is going to be bad.
This is going to be so bad. Share screen. You guys get to see my messy desktop, actually. Oh, here, I can even do it just like this. Oh, look at what I did. I'm figuring things out.
Does it matter who owns your local TV station? While polls show Americans are increasingly worried about so-called fake news, they also show that many trust their local news more than other sources. The largest owner of local stations in the country is Sinclair Broadcasting. A viral video of Sinclair news anchors has again raised concerns about the way in which the company mixes news with partisan political opinion. William Brangham updates his story about the broadcast giant that originally ran last year.
A train derailment in Tennessee.
You got to see the actual part that I'm gonna make sure you see.
On every single one of the 193 Sinclair stations across the country, Eric
Hold on. This might not be a good one. They didn't really get to the point. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
National news. Sinclair disputes having any kind of a political bent. Its executives declined to talk with us on camera for this report.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
This weekend, the online site Deadspin created this compilation of dozens of Sinclair's local newscasters recording an identical promo accusing the national media of spreading fake news.
Agenda control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. This is
it gives me chills.
I don't need to play anymore. Yeah, I'll link it. You guys can just search on YouTube, and there's multiple different compilations and different it's just, yeah, it's gross.
It's 100% true.
Funny, not funny. Karen is right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not funny.
This should make it easier for people to say, all right, how does this feel to me? If you're repeating something over and over, just based on my, I'm not a great follower persona, I'm going to ask myself, why do you want me to follow you so badly? I have to.
Yeah.
Like the shot thing. Regardless of what it does to you, why do you want me to get it so badly that it's on billboards? You've got artists and actors trying to tell me I have to get it. You've got people telling me I'm going to kill my neighbor if I don't. Why are you pushing this so hard? I have to ask myself these questions. And God bless them for being so overbearing that they're giving people no choice but to say, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
Like, this does not make sense to me. Why would they want to repeat that message that we just saw 180 times? There's a goal. There's always a goal. Humans don't do anything for no reason. So what's the reason? And does it have anything good for me? Are they worried about my happiness? So
I have a cat on set. Sorry.
Is it the kitten?
Yes.
She's so cute. Yeah, the bottom line of most of this, and I would say with almost anything, control, power, money.
Yeah.
Once you have those things, I don't know if it does something chemically to you, but you are scared to lose it to the point where you're willing to do just about anything to hold on. Oh,
Can you see it?
the weekly. Oh, I see that. Yes. I have heard about this, the lottery winning for those who get the shot. Also incentives.
Yes, I just opened my tax break now too. I opened my email last week and it said 10,000 bonus mile lottery through Frontier. I'm like, well, all right.
What do they have to gain from it?
Who's starting a sovereign airline? Shout out to my friend Mel. Yeah, it's going to be needed. For sure.
I mean, with all of this stuff, what if we go back to the chakra thing? What does whoever started that gain from saying that chakras are bad for you and that you should have them removed? What's behind that? What kind of? I mean, honestly, it feels like some kind of shadow work, which is giving people the opportunity to either put blinders back on or step away from misinformation. But there's always ask, why is this being said? And how does that resonate for me? Everything. that food is the best food in the world. This is the best restaurant in the world. How does that feel to me? It seems small. It seems stupid, but
No.
it's not. Like the newest supplements that come out on the market, the newest health food crazes, eat carbs, don't eat carbs, don't eat fruit because they have carbs in them. And okay, everybody hold on. How does that feel for me? I want to be skinny too, but if I stop eating fresh fruit and only
What
eat
happens
steak,
to my body?
something happened to me. That doesn't feel good. Like I can feel that one like here. I feel it in my gut. That's not a good place for me. This starts to feel a little heavy too when I don't like the information. We have to ask that with everything. It's okay to have your own truth. It's okay not to follow. It is. It's important not to follow. When you look at like the utopia and these other final places, when they talk about the evolution of humanity and what it looks like, or even heaven, and how that's described in the Bible, it's not a bunch of people doing what they're told.
Right.
It's people living here. And there's no strife, there's no anger, because I'm not trying to tell you how to live. You're not trying to tell me how to live. There's no duality. There's no need for one to be right and the other to be wrong. I don't need to control you. That's discernment at its ultimate level. That's what it could take and do to humanity. It takes away the need to follow, to control. Because you're your own truth. You're walking truth.
And that's widely accepted.
That sounds freaking amazing.
It does.
Discernment cuts the ties of fear. It cuts the ties of control. It just is. That phrase, I am. I always liked that one. And there's been many times in my spiritual journey where that phrase has popped into my head, I am. And I've asked myself, what does that mean? To me, that is the ultimate discernment. It's not about anything else. I am. And none of the rest of it matters. But we're going to keep going through this whirlwind of shenanigans and information and fear and, quite frankly, environmental changes.
Yeah.
To give the world the chance to say, I am.
It's like all the little lights come online.
Yeah.
Right?
One at a time, too. Nobody can move faster than they're meant to. We can't force anybody to do it.
No.
All you can do is be your own discernment.
Yeah.
And then if somebody says, hey, she looks really happy, whatever she's doing, I need to understand. Because I would be happy too. I think that's the best that we can do. Just nuts.
Right.
I was flying home Friday night, or it was supposed to be Friday day, and the flight got delayed. So I'm sitting at the bar with a bunch of other people whose flights are delayed. And the airport is a wonderful chance to people watch because it's a very stressful environment. Nobody wants to be there. It is the epitome of being stuck in kind of like a purgatory place because you're not home and you're not where you're trying to get. You're just stuck, and you're stuck with 1,000 other people who are stuck. So everybody at the bar is delayed. Several of them have been delayed since like 6 o'clock that morning. So just everybody, there's people meeting and greeting and having weird little relationships on the side. There's counseling sessions going on with drunk people over there. And I'm in the middle of a conversation with the bartender and the guy next to me about the shots and about all the science and medical stuff. I'm trying to think of a good term to use, so not to use the actual ones. So I'm floundering. But it's amazing to hear all the differing opinions. However, when you hear the words that they use, they're so commonly exactly what the news has put out. Like it has incepted their vocabulary. And I love getting into these conversations with people. I don't shy away from them at all.
Yeah.
Nor do they influence me in any way, shape, or form. and I'm not trying to influence them. I just like hearing where their truth is at that moment. And whenever I hear the news parroted out of a stranger's mouth, it gives me 100% chill. Just, whoa, like they got another one. And there's just so little you can do about it other than keep the conversations going, allow people to see that there's other truth out there, and let them decide for themselves. But it's amazing that even on that level, complete strangers, three of us, talking about these life-changing global events, all differing opinions. It's happening on every single level of our lives right now. And each one's a chance. I could get angry in those conversations and fight back. And especially like one of the guys was very pro shots. The other one was very, very anti. You could get emotionally engaged in it, or you could be the observer, kind of watch it, put out as much good energy as you possibly can, and then choose for yourself how to judge wisely. I really like that expression.
Judge wisely. I do too. It speaks volumes.
How's it? I know you every Sunday you're with your folks. How has it been in those settings? Are you noticing discernment at that level?
It's different because there are people that believe and live different ways in the church. But I will say we were closed only for 3 weeks at the very beginning in 2020, and we have never masked. And everyone is very pro freedom and pro individual discernment. So regardless of what some of the choices are that differ amidst the congregation, it's very much a space of acceptance for personal choice and medical freedom.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Is that because it's an environment you've cultivated, or is that just naturally who they were? And how did you get them?
I think both, and the entire calling in of my services to the pulpit and having been there now for, am I finishing my 3rd year, going into 4th? And I was at another church even before that. So that was an interesting transition. And the way that it all happened doesn't surprise me in the slightest that we found that alignment between the stance that I take and the way that I lead and what their beliefs are. It's exactly as it was meant to be, for sure.
And that was also one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you specifically about religion, because you seem to find a way to really merge spirituality and religion. And in a lot of ways, it just never, I've always had a hard time bringing those together because of that discernment, because a lot of what I'd read and learned just didn't really resonate with me. So I'm always fascinated and humbled by how well you appear to do that naturally.
I really thank you for that, because a lot of times it doesn't feel like it. Really, seriously though, the walk and my discernment of my path, it's left me very little. I don't want to say it's left me very little choice, because it's all been my choice. I don't know how to properly articulate it. Really, it's like, it seemed to me to be so obvious, the next steps, having been with the church for so long and then having a hiatus for about 6 months. And it was, again, very synchronistically during that time that I went through a grand spiritual awakening and even began to think, like, what am I going to do if somebody calls me back to the pulpit?
Yeah.
Like, what is that going to look like, right? And just having my own stuff come up, my own fear around that, and how to bring my truth forward into the message as a carrier of the message and an energy healer and spiritual worker. It's like, I see all of it. I've been in love with Jesus for so long. And then finding my alignment with Mary Magdalene in the spiritual realm, and the work that I have done and continue to do with her rocks my world. And to leave part of that out, like to go to the pulpit and to preach the gospel and share a message, a divinely inspired message, and bring truth and resonance. Really, that's what I'm looking for, is to bring resonance into people's life with a message that relates to the spiritual realm. They can feel it, right? I mean, that's one of the things that we do. And it's one of the first things that I talked to my congregation about when I took a new church, when I was called again back to the pulpit, and said yes, because I made the decision. It was my choice to never say no when I was called. And that came to me very early on in my walk with Jesus. And that walk has turned into a walk with Mary Magdalene and my spiritual team and collective energy and energy in general, frequency, vibration, all of the things, my own intuition. And so to like encapsulate that and bring that to the pulpit and re-infuse that message of intuition and discernment that Jesus so plentifully laid out for us. I mean, his walk was a walk that said, you can do this too, not do it just like me. Whatever it looks like for you, what is your truth? We see it over and over and over again. So it's been a strange walk, I will say. it's been an experience that sometimes has me holding back and processing my own stuff. You know, like, ooh, can I say that? Knowing that it's, for me, very resonant and true, but might be a little too much for someone who doesn't have the depth and breadth of spiritual experience with energy and vibration and frequency and your own intuition. So for people to hear that don't have that frame of reference, would they recoil? Because again, I know these truths, I've discerned some of these truths about what gives a person. This is kind of, maybe we need to do a part 2, because here's the part about discernment that has me sometimes going, did you discern it? Or were you out of alignment with it? We know that everything is energy, frequency, and vibration, and that we hold a particular vibration, we hold a frequency, and we feel activated typically by things that are in alignment with our vibration, whether it's our high vibration or our low vibration. When you're in a low vibration, something else that is low vibrational will seem or feel or could appear like comforting to you in that time. Whereas when you're in a high vibrational state, that same low vibrational thing, essence, whatever it is, situation, person, or conversation, could seem very dissonant to you, would seem very dissonant to you in a high vibrational state. So you see the idea that if we are in a low vibrational state, something of high vibration might seem dissonant. Also comes into my awareness when I'm thinking about discernment. And are the discernments of people in low vibrational states really discernments? And so that's why I brought up what I said about sometimes rethinking or finding a new way to activate the congregation with a thought form, aside from the words I originally thought, because I go, oh, are they going to receive that? Now, part of it is me projecting.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, this is the state that everyone is in. I'm like generalizing and putting everybody in a box and going, oh, this is too high vibrational for that, right? So I recognize that. But there is a certain point where I also recognize my own path, my own journey, and what it was like to be in a very low vibrational state. And so many things, if I just go back through the archives, I can remember so much information that is highly resonant with me now, appearing very distasteful, inappropriate, like whatever matrixy words we could put around it, when I was in a low vibrational state.
Very true.
Right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's not something I've thought about recently, but you're absolutely right. When I first started trying to find my own spiritual path, I had so many negative experiences with religion, specifically Christianity, that a lot of the terms, even Jesus and angels and all that, just did not feel right to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how this fits. It's too controlling. It's too black and white. It took me a really long time to find ways to go back and review thoughts that I had that were my truth at that time. They were a form of discernment, but it was coming from a less educated, lower vibration than it could be today. And that's obviously a big example, but it happens all the time. You do something that feels right when you're angry or when you're scared, and when you're not, you're like, damn, that was stupid. Should not have done that. But it happens all the time. Like, it felt so right at the moment. But where are you when you're making that decision? 100% a whole nother conversation.
Really, it is. It's part 2.
Yeah. Discernment at a higher vibration. And we'll have to do a meditation or something so we can feel the difference.
Yeah.
Like at the beginning of the show, all right, you got a question that you want to discern on. Do your little single test right now. At the end, we'll do a meditation. Ask the question again. Where does that feel? Because that'll be different.
I like that you said, where does that feel?
Yes, it really is weird.
Yeah.
It really is weird because I've been watching the comments. Everybody feels them in such different places, and you train your body to. You actually, it's not even training your body. Your body's training you. You just telling your body you're listening. It's like, all right, when you feel it here, this is what that means. Like when I feel my guides, I feel it in the back of the left side of my head because I've worked with them and I've asked them specifically to let me know when it's them. You know, it just feels like almost like somebody's breathing on your shoulder. I mean, that sounds really weird and kind of creepy when I break it down like that, but that's how I've asked them to come forward.
Again, this is an individual journey.
You don't have to do it that way. But yes, we will 100% have to talk about the degrees of discernment and do an exercise with it.
Yeah.
And we should have all the girls back next week. They're on Mount Shasta, so they are on super high vibrations, and yeah, they need to come back into, settle that energy, and but they should be all back next week. So, any closing thoughts? Anything you're working on this week that you want to tell everybody about?
This week I am starting the behind the scenes work. This is just a little teaser for the next residency in Mexico, as well as a mother-daughter residency. So if you have teens and preteens that are experiencing their own intuition and looking for ways to explore it and deepen their relationship with themselves in that way, as a mama,
Very cool.
It's invited to have the walk together, to experience that together, and to expand together as mother and daughter. So working on a mother-daughter residency as well.
Sounds amazing. Amazing. Guys, definitely check that out. Follow Steph's stuff on her groups. She'll put up updates, websites.
How about you?
I'm launching my Path of Spiritual Warrior this month, or this week, actually, this Saturday.
Yeah.
So that's my 4-month program. The universe has definitely been big on divine timing. So we're starting it this Saturday, 4 months of just straight up, who are you? Who are you meant to be? And how are you meant to serve? Stripping away everything you have ever learned about yourself to find out who you were, who your divine self is. I'm very excited. It's a very divine-led program for me. I'm terrified about how it's going to work, but I'm game. And
It's gonna be
this is the big one. I put a shout out to the community. Anybody who resonates with that warrior energy, veterans, first responders, or just that self-warrior energy, if you could send me a blurb, a blog, a video of why warriors need spirituality and how important it is for the spiritual world to have that warrior energy. The campaign is #I am a warrior. And the more information we can get the more we can help this grow so that the warrior communities know spirituality is the key to healing, to self-possession, to discernment. Please send this to me. Pass the word, #I am a warrior. And watch the Muses. Again, next Sunday, every Sunday live, most Sundays live. We always put something on here for you. Join us throughout the week on our Facebook group. We're doing healings, meditations, quizzes, all sorts of fun little games to keep your resonance, your vibration higher throughout the week. And our show is 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific every Sunday. If you have any topics or anything you'd like discussed, please let us know. If you're watching this as a rerun, please post your comments. We will go back through and respond to them as we can. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being with us. Steph, absolutely wonderful show. Use your highest vibration to find your own truth. And we will find utopia. How cool would that be? All right, y'all. Until next week, be good.